At the end of last episode, we saw that the Xenon were busy attacking open market, and just as expected, open market continued to be assaulted. And as no fleet was seen coming to alleviate the system, I decided I would send a response myself. The first fleet's fighters were called in to be that response. A squadron of 30 fighters was sent from First Fleet, for if anything in hopes to slow the Xenon down and allow the Teladi to muster a fleet to counter the Xenon attack themselves. The First Fleet fighters arrived in open market to see the catastrophic destruction the Xenon had caused. Over 6 Xenon Class K destroyers and fighter support had managed to destroy the majority of the Teladi trading station and the surrounding stations. My fighters were ordered in. Open market was the trade hub for this and the surrounding systems. An economic crash would follow if it fell. Despite my pilot's best efforts, we were outnumbered and outgunned. And with no Teladi reinforcements in view, a tactical withdrawal was given. Open market was doomed to fall. Back in Argon Prime, news of the failed defense of open market weighed heavy on those in the GON Industries. However, spirits were soon lifted with news of the new large shipyard finishing on the station that we had in Argon Prime. This would allow for new capital ships to surge from our assembly lines and allow a new source of credits from our surrounding allies. With the fall of open market, I had hoped the Xenon would dissipate and would return home, but my heart sank as I saw them continue pushing into Teladi space. The Teladi held the most manufacturing stations. We had just lost a major trading hub, but if we lost the largest congregation of manufacturing stations of almost everywhere possible, the economic situation would fall from bad to pretty much non-existent. The Second Fleet, which had just returned back to Argon Prime from its sieges in Holy Order space, was enjoying some needed R&R. However, that was cut short and the fleet was diverted to Teladi space in hopes to be the stopping force needed to end the Xenon push. The trip was long for such a slow-moving ship such as the Raptor, so before I committed it to going through the gate into Teladi's space leading to the System 2 Grand, the system I had been spotting the Xenon moving towards during my retreat, I had ordered my scout fighters into the gate to see what the situation was, and as I suspected, the Xenon were busily attacking the stations in 2 Grand. Seeing no immediate threats near the gate, I ordered the Second Fleet through and ordered them to assist the Teladi stations. Despite my epic entrance and my hero complex coming to the rescue of the suffering Teladi, I soon found that I was not needed. In the time it took for my fleet to move across all the systems between Argon Prime and 2 Grand, the Teladi had managed to muster a defense of their own. Using defense drones and fighter support, the Teladi overwhelmed the Xenon. And the Xenon that did not retreat were surrounded and destroyed. At this point, I petitioned what to do with the Second Fleet, and my ultimate decision was to try and have the Raptor return to my GON-owned shipyard to receive an upgraded shield. However, right before I left, I noticed a large red blob in open market. The Xenon had a large strike force flying by a satellite I had left in open market to track the movement there. Suspecting that they would be headed to 2 Grand, I ordered the Second Fleet into open market in order to stop their advance. But as my fleet traveled, a Xenon ambush poured out of the darkness, quickly overwhelming the Teladi ships near the jump gate. My fleet then fell into their sights. I quickly removed my move orders and ordered my fleet to hold and engage. While trying to command the second fleet, I started to hear something through the chaotic comm chatter. Distress signals. But not from the second fleet. The capital ships Hermes, Hastia, Zier, ships from the first fleet were requesting support and help. Panic began to fill me as I quickly moved my map to Argon Prime, and to my utter shock, a Holy Order fleet was seen engaging the first fleet. I had to leave the second fleet to deal with the Xenon on their own, as I witnessed the first fleet on the verge of being overwhelmed. I quickly ordered the first fleet to pull back, in an attempt to get out of range of the Holy Order capital ships' attack batteries and fighters. I quickly assessed the condition of the first fleet. Many of the ships were damaged, and to my dismay, the veteran fighter force of the first fleet was completely wiped out and destroyed. I ordered my fleet to begin focusing fire on the capital ships in the Holy Order fleet. But as the conflict dragged on, and my capital ships, which were the last true offensive force, had to continue to pull back to rearm and regain shields, I knew the battle was beginning to tilt in the Holy Order's favor. With the second fleet engaged in the north, my only option was to have my ships hug my nearby defense platform, allowing the support of the station to take some of the force off of my ships, and to allow the defense drones to push out and annoy the Holy Order fleet. But then suddenly, things went from bad to worse. The defense platform Leonidas, in the system Hatikva's Choice 1, was utterly surrounded by a large Xenon attack fleet. The second fleet. The first fleet. And now the defense platform Leonidas were all in a struggle for their survival. What is a commander to do in such a situation? If I helped order one fleet, I would be risking losing the other. I could not balance such a strike on every front. With my fleets engaged, they could not come to support one another. Argon Prime would fall without the first fleet. 2 Grand would fall without the second fleet. Hatikva's Choice would fall without the defense platform Leonidas. I knew a sacrifice would have to be made. I ordered the second fleet to abandon 2 Grand. The Teladi would have to fight on their own. My forces needed help, and the second fleet was ordered to support the defense platform Leonidas. The troubles for the first fleet continued. The Holy Order ships had pulled to the east out of range of my defense platform, forcing my fleet to draw out from their position of cover to engage. The defense platform Leonidas was suffering. Casualties were mounting as the defense teams fought with every fiber of their beings, but despite their best efforts, for every Xenon ship they shot down, another 2 would take its place. The only thing giving them hope was knowing that the second fleet was on its way. They had to hold out until relief came. The first fleet lay on the verge of collapse as the last of the Holy Order ships retreated or were destroyed. Even the great carrier Carthage, pride of the first fleet, lay almost completely in ruin. I ordered the first fleet to repair and regroup despite the fleet's desire to help the Leonidas. They would be useless in any immediate further engagements. The first fleet had lost enough lives. The defense platform continued its valiant defense. Fire and smoke rose from the once proud defense platform. The unnerving sound of pulse lasers and cannons filled the air, but soon the sound of war was interrupted by cheers. As the defenders on the Leonidas watched as the second fleet arrived in system, flooding the system with friendly fighters. they had been saved. The defense platform would continue to fight another day. The day had been won, but at a terrible cost. Thank you everybody for watching. This was a terrifying experience. Being attacked from all sides like this felt almost scripted, but the game had just decided to be a jerk to me all on its own. Because of this, the one great first fleet went from 54 ships to 7. And because of these low numbers, I began construction of new fighters, and I added fresh from the assembly lines of our new shipyard, the behemoth-class capital ship Hector, to the first fleet. The second fleet had started with 80 ships, and surprisingly had only lost 6 fighters during these conflicts. 4 fighters from a nearby system were added to the second fleet, and the second fleet was left in Hatikva's choice to help fight the Xenon while the Leonidas repaired. Because of the stellar performance and actions performed by the second fleet, the Raptor was named Sword of Damocles, symbolic of how the fleet was always a sword hanging over the enemy's head, about to strike at any point. Thank you for Gray Scout 89 for the suggestion. It fits the ship just exquisitely. The situation for GON Industries is not looking too hot, and the fate of the Teladi systems is yet to be determined. With that and now kha'ak amassing in the Reach, a system to our northwest, I think, the future of GON Industries looks very questionable. But again, thank you for stopping by. I know that I've been absent, and it really what it comes down to is life has just been busy. This was a crazy group of events, and I'm nervous about what the future holds. I have a new shipyard, which is incredible, but I know for a fact that I will not be able to pump out the needed ships to fight on all fronts anytime soon. I hope you enjoyed. Please like, sub, and share. My channel is booming. I have grown so quickly these last few weeks I can't actually really believe it. And I know it's all thanks to you guys. Keep up the great work, and remember, be kind, be respectful, and most of all, love one another. Peace.